here last year. Okay, good. So hopefully you don't tell the organizers that all my slides are exactly the same. I'm just kidding. No, I do have some significant changes. We have some updates to what's been published in the scientific literature. I'm a scientist by training. I trained in microbiology, infectious diseases, as well as molecular biology. So, you know, the science and the process of cancer development is something that I know intimately. And how I got started is that I was just kind of the go-to person for anyone that was sick in my family. So, you know, if they had an illness, they came to me. And one particular illness occurred where my mother had some liver issues that was not detected by her doctor over several years. And I realized that she needed a lot more assistance. And so I had to really kind of be that advocate, that patient advocate for her, and go out there and talk to the doctor and figure out what happened and why there was a slippage, and realize that there's really a lot of people who don't know what to ask the doctor, how to engage the doctor, how to make sure the doctor is giving them treatments and recommendations based on their personal needs. So that's how Bedside Manners was born. So focusing in as a cancer patient advocate, and now adding in prevention coaching. I just completed the Institute of Integrative Nutrition's year-long program. So prevention coaching now is a part of my business, and essentially it's just about how do we prevent disease. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So the agenda for today: what's your risk of getting cancer? We're going to go through that, and you'll be surprised because it's not as high as you think. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so we also want to focus in on breast cancer prevention. So we'll talk about the foods that cause cancer, how stress and cancer have a very intimate link, and then how do we prevent it. So I know we're all excited to hear about this new scientific information, just as excited as Jonah Hill is here, okay? So, but before we do, we're going to have a prize. So everyone please stand up, okay? We're going to go through what I call the Vitality Index. And this index asks several questions as to your propensity for developing disease, okay? So if you answer no to a question, you have to sit down. The last person standing gets a prize. Okay. How many of you eat breakfast every day? If you say no, you have to sit down. How many of you focus on putting the best foods in your mouth every day? Okay, all right. How many of you get 7 hours of sleep on average every night? Okay, all right. How many of you have some form of managing stress, such as daily prayer, meditation? Okay, oh, you guys are good. Okay, this is what I was afraid of. Hopefully this, I don't know if I have enough prizes. How many of you prioritize relationships as much as you do your work and career? Okay. Now, this one is getting a little bit intimate. How many of you have a significant other, get frequent hugs and touch, and have some love fests on a weekly basis?
How about with yourself? You have to be married.
So all these things have to do with your vitality. How many of you have a clean and organized office and home? Okay, God. And okay, last two questions. How many of you have weekly events with family and friends, such as dinners, Sunday dinners, etc., where you go and you socialize with people?
Oh, friends.
Friends, yes. Okay. And then?
They're too far away.
So no?
Friends, you do it with friends.
Friends, okay, friends, okay. And then how many of you do something for yourself every day?
Oh, Oh, I do. I do. All day.
Okay. All right, we got 3 winners here. I don't think I have enough.
I'm fine.
That's okay. What I was going to do was give away my most recent pamphlet, which is My Health Matters. It's a tracker for all of your basic laboratory tests so that you won't miss anything in case your doctor does. So I could definitely give it to one of you ladies, and then I can certainly send one in the mail if you like. Thank you. Thank you for participating. Okay, on to our regularly scheduled program here. So, cancer, the rates are definitely increasing. I asked my grandmother, I said, did y'all have all this cancer back in the 40s and 50s? She was like, no. And then when I saw this information, I said, oh, okay, we see what's going on here. The rates are definitely increasing, and this is just through 2000. The rate, looking at about 250 cancer deaths out of 100,000 people, is expected to double by 2040. Okay, so it is still increasing, and that's a recent fact that was actually published by the World Health Organization. So something is going on in our environment. And when we're talking about environment, I'm just not talking about all the chemicals that are in your tap water. I'm also talking about your internal environment, your nutritional environment, your psychological environment. This whole thing is an ecosystem. Okay, just like the outside world is an ecosystem. So we have to nurture and cultivate it. So your genes are played upon by your environment. That's your water and your diet, nutritional side, your stress, the air, the sunshine, as well as the physical activity that you do. And this is something that scientists in the 21st century have just now announced. This is a study that was done in over 10,000 twins, identical twins. And what they concluded was that the majority of cancers are not genetic. The majority of cancers are not genetic. We conclude that the overwhelming contributor to the causation of cancer in these populations we studied was environment. Okay, and what that environment was not just chemicals. It's not like people, we don't live where radioactive material is all the time. Yes, we get, radiation from the sun, but it's the environment, it's that internal ecosystem. Now, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and this same publication showed that you only really have an estimated risk of breast cancer in about 27%. That's if you have identical twins. Only 27%. That means 73% of women have no gene that will cause breast cancer. It's not in your DNA. It's not in your cells. So where is it coming from? It's from the nutrition and stress. Another thing about breast cancer, which you'll hear a lot, is like, oh, well, maybe you should get tested for this BRCA gene. This is a particular gene that has been known to cause breast cancer. These genes are important, BRCA1 and BRCA2, because what they do is they actually suppress cancer development. However, when they go rogue, when they get modified, when they get mutated, they do cause breast cancer. So doctors will test for these 2 genes to see if you have any kind of mutation in them. However, the mutations are really still only responsible for 7 to 10% of breast cancers. So then why do we have 4 million women in the next 10 years estimated to have breast cancer? This is what we're going to talk about today, what those causes are. Okay? Everybody with me so far? Yeah. All right, cool. So, 2015, the World Health Organization came out with the fact that any kind of processed meat, bacon, sausage, hot dogs, ham, all the things that taste good. I like being vegetarian, I love being plant-based, but when I smell bacon, My carnivore comes out. I want that bacon. Turkey bacon just doesn't cut it. But the World Health Organization has said, listen, processed meats cause cancer. You should really if you can't get off processed meats, once a week, that maybe that Saturday or Sunday morning breakfast, but that's about it. Yeah. So it's really, really important. And the other thing they said was, if you look at this chart, it's given a basic number one grouping. It definitely causes cancer. That's what the World Health Organization has said. Salami is also included in that as well, if we have any salami eaters. However, red meat, any dark red meats, given a class 2A, probably causes cancer. This doesn't include your chicken and your fish. Okay, so they're lower on the scale. But porks, beefs, lambs, definitely a group A classification. So again, we want to move towards that plant-based diet as much as we can. And that's what we're going to talk about here today. So how much meat should you be eating? Like, do you think you need to eat meat at every single meal? No. Okay. How many eat meat at every single meal? Okay, good. Oh, well, we got one person. That's okay. We're going to keep working on that. And it's not about making you into a vegetarian or vegan. This is not what this is about. This is about incorporating and adding in the really good stuff that suppresses even that food craving for meat. And we all know, like sugar, it's almost like addicting, right? Yeah, it's like your body releases, really good hormones, serotonin, it makes you feel good. However, meat does the same thing. Meat and cheese releases hormones that make you feel good. So it's hard for people to get off of these things a lot of times. Well, what science is finding is that, a lot of people are kind of in this category. This is what we call the SAD diet, the Standard American Diet. About 285 grams of meat is eaten a day for most people on our SAD American diet. They're suggesting that we cut this down to only about 70 grams of meat a day. Okay, so that basically means you're substituting red meat at your lunch, and probably more than likely you're adding in some extra veggies and beans for dinner, significantly cutting down the meat for your lunch and your dinner, and probably even your breakfast too. So this graph is basically showing how much protein, animal protein, in your diet could cause cancer. And this is a significant study because they did this study in animals. And what they showed is that when animals, even when they're exposed to a chemical that promotes cancer, if that chemical is present and that animal is only given about 5% total calories of protein in a day, they won't develop any cancers. This is development of cancers. It remains very low, right here at baseline. When the same animals were given a lot of dietary protein, that's about 20%, that averages to be about a piece of meat at every single meal a day, the induction of cancer drastically increases. That's a piece of meat at every single meal, every single sitting. So it's something for you to be aware of, that animal protein does cause cancer. It started working again. Okay. Thank you. Then we find out that there's a threshold, and that threshold is about 5 to 6% of protein eaten every single day. And the same thing that happens in animals happens in humans. So our threshold really shouldn't go above 10, where that last dot is. This is kind of like the line of demarcation. If it goes above 10, the amount of cancer begins to increase. Okay? So 10% of animal protein in your diet every day really only amounts to about 1.5 meals of animal protein. So that could be your lunch, you have, some red meat, or some turkey or whatever, and then maybe like a snack. That's about it. And then this shows the traditional amount of human consumption does range between 10 to more than 20%. So like I was saying, most people are getting like 700 grams of protein in a day, when really you need to be like 200, you need to be like 75, you need to be under 100. And here, really, under 10%. So, how does this look on a country basis? You can see that when we look at breast cancer, and Breast Cancer Awareness Month to me just, yes, it's about awareness, but it's also about prevention. What do we need to do to prevent breast cancer? What we need to do to prevent breast cancer is to lower our rate of meat consumption. That's what we need to do. And nobody's talking about that. We're spending all this money on research to study the next big pill, the next big drug that's actually going to help in cancer treatment. But what about prevention? Nobody's really talking that much about that. And you can see in China, where they don't eat a lot of red meat, where they eat a lot of cabbage. You go to a Chinese restaurant, soy, bok choy, very low rates of breast cancer. On the high end, standard American diet in most of the Western countries. Total fat consumption, you can see along here at the bottom, the higher the fat consumption, the higher amount of cancers. Okay, and that's about out of 10,000 people per year, that's how much cancer occurs.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Where does goat come in as far as the meat? Is it a red meat?
It is still considered a red meat like lamb and beef and cattle, yes. But now some people do enjoy, and it's kind of, if you're asking maybe also about goat milk as an alternative, that could be an alternative. And some people are doing more unprocessed milks because they do provide some beneficial probiotics or like good bacteria for your gut. So not all things are bad, but in moderation. What about milk consumption in breast cancer? How many love cheese? I love cheese. Love cheese. I know. I can't eat that much. Well, number one, it's like the older you get, the less you're able to break down the cheese. So a lot of us may get a little bit of lactose intolerance, a little bit of gassiness and bloating. But the other reason why we need to get off of this cheese is because you can see that the risks drastically increase. Out of 10,000 women, all on the right side of the graph, you see all of the U.S. countries that are large cheese eaters have higher rates of breast cancer. On the low end, again, the Asian countries, China, Thailand, you don't go to a Thai restaurant and get cheese on it with it. Your meal doesn't come with cheese. It's going to come with some soy, some tofu, some cabbage. So those are the different things. And ladies,
Did they look at any of the low-fat cheeses, or they just?
I'm going to go into the low-fat cheeses. That's a great question. Ladies, we also have to worry, when we worry about our breasts, we have to worry about our reproductive organs. So the uterus is so important. Fibroids, this issue with fibroids in the African American community has gotten totally out of hand. And no one's talking about the diet. No one's talking about the fact of the red meat consumption, the milk consumption that is causing a lot of these things, and how do we actually prevent it? This same trend occurs with uterine cancer. So the higher the milk production, milk consumption, the higher your risk of getting uterine cancer. You asked about the low-fat milk. They're showing the same trend with skim milk. So it's not about the fat. It's actually about the protein that's in the milk that's causing the cancer. So even if you go to skim milk, it's not going to work. What you can start doing is you can dilute your milk a little bit more over time. And if you want to go cold turkey, you could just do almond milk, rice milk, cashew milk, coconut milk. There's so many more milks on the market, right, that you could start adding and incorporating. But for
That lactose milk.
so that still has the protein that's in the regular milk.
It just don't give you that gas.
It just doesn't give you the gassiness. Yeah.
So, 'cause I know I started with the almond milk,
Yes.
and I can really feel the difference.
What changes are you seeing?
Well, I beg pardon?
What changes are you seeing in your body?
Well, I don't have that gassy
Yes.
feeling anymore. You know, that bloating. You know, like I said, it costs a little bit more, but it's worth it.
Right.
I was going to say
I usually use it in my oatmeal and anything that I use with milk. I put it. Yeah.
it tastes how about cereal?
Cereal.
Right.
Yeah.
Be fine in the cereal.
It'll be fine with cereal.
I mean, it will taste okay. Wow.
It's not going to have the same exact taste, but you're eating the cereal too, so that kind of has some good taste, and so it'll mask it a little bit. Yeah. So for the men in our lives, we need to let them know that, listen, a lot of dairy is leading also to these prostate cancer, higher risk of prostate cancers. So that's important for them. So let's just sum this up. Basically, we see that when we look at some of the quote unquote poorer nations, some of these nations in Asia and, you know, Africa, they have diseases that are more infectious. We're talking about pneumonia, TB, you know, parasitic diseases. When you look at the richer countries, it's all mostly cancer. Colon, lung, breast, prostate, liver, leukemia. And then you get to the heart, and then you get to the sugar, right? The diabetes, et cetera, et cetera. So we kind of really need to start working on this diet thing, okay? So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about that in the next session. I want to bring up this one doctor, though, and any of you or any of your friends and family who are dealing with people who have heart issues, this doctor here has a great book called Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease. And what he does is he basically puts his patients on a plant-based diet. And these are people who have had heart stents surgically implanted. These people who had all of these different heart events during the 8 years before they got into this study, after they went on this plant-based diet, zero heart events, zero heart pain, zero heart attacks, zero heart disease. And they really survived for a longer period of time. They extended their life for 20 plus years. And of note here, and this is why I bring this up, is because out of this particular group, 8 to 10% of them were expected to get cancer. Only one had cancer. Only one had cancer. So the plant-based diet, it affects everything in your body. Remember, it's an ecosystem in our own body. So we go plant-based, we reverse the heart disease, we help with the sugar, diabetes, and we also help prevent cancer. Okay, so those are the three things I want you guys to remember.
I have a question. So you're all plant-based diet. Is that the vegetarian diet thing?
Basically, it's mainly a vegetarian diet. I think he did allow some egg consumption, white eggs only. I should say egg whites only, but no yolk, exactly. But mostly plant-based here. But these are people who are really very sick. Like I said, they had already had some kind of surgery. So, you know, even if you're dealing with high blood pressure, if you just do 70% plant-based, you can see some significant effects. And that's been recorded in the scientific literature. And it may not be...
Because I recently lost 30 pounds just eating mainly a plant-based diet myself.
There you go.
I'm a nutritionist and hang with a lot of vegan friends, and they taught me how to eat healthier to save my own life. But as nutritionists and as health experts, sometimes we fail to ourselves.
Exactly.
We can't teach if we're not in.
Exactly.
fit ourselves. So I had to take responsibility for my own health.
Do you live in Philadelphia?
In Chester, Pennsylvania, but I'm from Southwest Philly.
So how do you manage living in an urban community to be mostly plant-based?
Hanging around farmers. We hang at the Bennett home farms, and,
Okay.
and we teach each other how to eat healthy and eat from the stuff I thought used to be weeds and things like that, like lamb's quarter and all. I didn't know what that stuff was. But that stuff was. We eat healthy now.
Right.
And people are teaching us. People that they don't have degrees, but they worked on farms, 22-acre farms. They're teaching us how to eat healthy.
Yeah.
And how to take responsibility for our own health. Because I'm a nutritionist, like I said, I have 120 providers that I'm responsible for. So I talk to them all the time. So when they go to farms, they say, "You want me to bring you back some collard greens?"
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to live longer.
Absolutely.
We just have to take responsibility for ourselves first, and then pass it on to those who need it, the people that depend on us, like our families.
So you don't need a large plat of land in order to do this. So yes, ma'am.
Yeah, one of the things I've done recently is change my diet, and I basically eat organic, items. When I go to the market, it may cost 20 cent more.
Right.
But I get the organic bananas, I get the organic.
Higher amount of nutrients in organic vegetables. But I don't go organic right now with people is when they're first starting out, because the cost is prohibitive for some people, and you may not necessarily have an entirely organic lifestyle, so but there are more nutrients in organic fruits and vegetables than you would find in regular fruits and vegetables. So that is important.
Now with the organic, you don't have the antibiotics, and you don't
Right, the
have
pesticides.
pesticide. So now when you're doing the garden, do they spray anything in the gardens? Okay,
Definitely
good.
works there.
Okay, so y'all don't spray anything on them. That's good.
Good.
My problem is, because I started eating healthier and eliminated a lot of things, but I went under my BMI.
Yes, and that's true. I've also gone under my BMI as well. However, that is based on a large population of people, and what's right for your body is right for your body. When I work with clients with my prevention coaching, I ask them, what was your weight when you were 20 years old? And I'm still not at my weight when I was 20 years old. And y'all see, I'm lean. So that to me is kind of key, because when you're in your best years of your life, that's really like your body is processing, your metabolism is at its best. I ask people that question, and you'll find that you may not even be at that weight. And that might have been like your ideal weight at that time, because you were eating all kinds of junk at 20 years old. Really, most of us are. Very few of us grew up vegetarian. So, all right, we have another giveaway. First person who raises their hand, name 2 nutritional factors that can lead to cancer.
Sugar. Smoking.
She raised her hand. Name 2.
Oh, I was supposed to say, and just red meat.
Yes. Congratulations. You get my 30-day health renewal program. 30 days, that's on my website. That's 30 days of changing and transforming your health with a nice handout that you can download. So I'll give you guys have my handouts and flyers, so you'll have my website there. So, okay, wonderful. Stress and disease. How many of you have stress right now? I was stressed this morning, preparing for this presentation. So stress is an important, we have to deal with stress. We live in a modern society. What does stress cause? And I'm going to focus on a few things that we're dealing with as a community. High blood pressure, cholesterol, risk of heart attack, reduced ability to fight and recover from illness. We're going into the winter season. Stress in the winter reduces your ability to fight off infections, okay? And it also causes huge amounts of fat storage. When your weight goes up, your risk for cancer goes up. So that's something that you also need to be really, really aware of. Stress does cause those things. Severe psychological stress may be linked to breast cancer. How many people know of a breast cancer patient who went through a lot of stress and then had a diagnosis? It causes a mutation in that gene I told you about, the BRCA gene, that suppresses the tumor, that suppresses the cancer. Stress and fear can cause cancer recurrence. When you have a lot of stress and a lot of fear, even if you had that cancer removed, it actually still will increase your risk of getting cancer. Emotional stress may lower the effectiveness of prostate cancer treatments. For the men in our lives going through prostate cancer treatment, keep them calm, keep them relaxed. Give them a gift certificate for a massage. Those are the things that you have to really, really be mindful of.
Excuse me, can I stop you right
Yes.
there? You say keep them calm, keep them relaxed. What if they the ones that's causing all the problems? How you gonna keep them calm and relaxed if they're causing it?
I think it's I try to tell it's the medication that they're on. Some
Yeah.
the steroids make you.
It will make you crazy. Is it something that he's talking to his physician or healthcare provider about, that he is a little bit anxious or wired?
Crazy.
We want to your turn may be crazy. He's scared. He's scared. And is he willing to look at some alternative strategies like getting a massage? Is he willing to look at some prayer? Is he willing to look at
5:30 prayer in the morning.
Well, maybe he needs to talk to his preacher. He needs to talk to his preacher. He needs a confidant outside of the family, because we all have our relationships with people, right? And sometimes we're not a hero in our own home. So he has to go outside of the home through a preacher, through a counselor to help deal with that. Yeah.
Somebody that's going through the same situation.
A counseling group.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's a good point. And I bring this up about the meditation because the meditation helps with handling the pressure, lowering your blood pressure, lowering your heart rate. You know, daily meditation practice is really, really important. And we can all start with just basic breathing. Everybody put their hands on their stomach, right in the belly button area. Right hand on the belly button, left hand on top of right. Go ahead and let that stomach hang loose. Most of us want to look like we're like all like that. No, let it hang loose. Let it hang loose. And just start breathing. Just start feeling the rising and the falling of your hands. Keep focusing in on your hands rising and falling as you inhale and exhale. You could do this for 5 minutes during the day. I set my timer during the day every 90 minutes for a 5-minute soft belly breathing exercise.
And what does that do?
Calms you down. It's like going into a meditation. I want your stomach to hang. Get some hang time. I want your stomach to hang. The other thing is essential oils help lower stress. Okay? So I do travel a lot. And I put, even when I get home, I carry some rose oil with me. Rose oil is just calms me down. I put it on my linens. I sprinkle this on my linens, my bed sheets. And when I do my 5-minute relaxation, that's what I do. Rose. All right, so we're almost through. We're going to go into the juicing phase of this because juicing is really key to helping with cancer prevention. Women, like I said, in China who ate a lot of cabbage, bok choy, turnips, 50% lower risk of developing breast cancer.
I don't see bok choy in our market stuff.
I just got some bok choy from the grocery store.
It's very good.
It's good.
Tastes like spinach. They have an Edison.
Greens are really, really important because they are key to purifying the blood, preventing cancer, improving circulation. And I want to highlight these vegetables that we have to start eating and incorporating. You all may already eat a lot of this stuff. We love collard greens as a community, right? I'm from Atlanta, so we definitely love collard greens.
Chard, I don't see chard up there.
Chard is really good too, yes ma'am, but we're talking right here about the cruciferous vegetables, and these are the ones that scientifically have been shown to prevent cancer.
The turnips?
Turnips, mustards, collards, radishes, kale, watercress. All of these things are so key in preventing cancer. Citrus fruits, also another big key in preventing cancer. Okay, and it's mostly in the rinds. And so what I like to do is I'll normally go ahead and I'll juice a whole lemon. And all that cancer goodness is right there in that rind. It detoxifies the blood, it detoxifies the liver, it suppresses cancer cells, it prevents breast cancer specifically, it helps with skin cancer specifically. So we have to get to the point where we know that obesity causes cancer, breast, prostate, colon. A lot of people don't know that. So we have to get to the point where we're looking at, I like to say, going to every other day fasting. It's like effortless weight loss. If you do a juice fast every other day, people have lowered their risk of diabetes, heart disease, blood pressure. There are books out there now that talk about this every other day fasting. You could do this quite easily with a juicer, basic juicer from Bed Bath & Beyond. Get your 20% off coupon online. It'll be less than $100, okay? Cold cucumber. And that's organic, so I kept the skin on. If it's not organic, you don't want to keep the skin on because most of the pesticides accumulate in the skin. And young lady, bok choy from Walmart. Okay, juice the whole thing. Very simple. Very easy. Now we got to make it a little bit sweet. How are we going to do that? Well, let's get some natural sweeteners, as well as some digestive enzymes. Okay, most of us through the years, as we age, we lose the digestion in our stomach. We're not able to pick up as much nutrients. So pineapple. Oh, that's so key too. I don't have enough time to go into that, but you're absolutely right. Probiotics help prevent obesity, and now they're even saying a lot of diseases too. I'm going to add maybe one more. Some people might like a little bit of sweetness. And then I add some ginger. Love ginger. Helps with digestion. Add the whole thing here. And I'm going to tell you guys a little secret. I do a batch of juice throughout the week. And I bought these Rubbermaid mixers. And I don't have time to juice every day. Okay. So I get the 16 ounce, about half of this, and I'll put the juice in here and I'll freeze it throughout the week. And then I'll take one out, put it in my cooler bag for lunch or for a snack during the day. So let me try this juice, and then we're going to share and enjoy our juice.